Welcome to All Sorts of Sports. Go.
All sorts of sports.
Sports
All
and
sorts of sports.
Okay.
I'm not even saying it anymore. Everybody's completing the line for me.
I know, but I did it.
I'm all for that.
I know, because my wife just walks in randomly, like whenever I see her, sports in your ass. I'm like, why you say that?
Like, so you gonna say it for me? All right, cool.
Huh? No, she just walks around the house. She says sports in your ass.
She says it? Oh.
Yes, nigga. She just says
Look at me. I'm creating catchphrases. I got our first t-shirt.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna
the slow insertion of sports and that.
I'm gonna cut to the chase and get right to it because we have been bullshitting for about 30 minutes.
300 bars and run is one of the greatest goddamn paddle beef tracks of all time.
Corrupt is not respected enough. Corrupt is not respected enough.
But basically, I want to start with the NBA Finals. They're tied right now, 1-1. Game 3 is tonight in Boston, and I think there's a lot of chatter around certain topics around the series so far. One being like the physicality and the referees, maybe favoring Golden State in game 2 and stuff like that. And Steph's legacy is he needs to win an NBA Finals MVP, all that good stuff. But I want you guys' thoughts on the finals so far. Have you enjoyed it? What do you think? K-Dot, kick us off.
I feel good because my prediction's lining up so far, right? So 7-game series, right? And the East still looks good, even with what happened in game 2. Look, the entire NBA playoffs have been a story of double-digit wins. Like, it's gone up and down. I still can't make sense of why that is. I don't know. Do anybody have a theory on why that is? I still can't quite get it. I still look at both of these teams, and I still look at them and I say both of these teams have a legitimate shot at winning this. I mean, even if I want to right now we have two teams that we know through the regular season, we know through the playoffs, have been battle tested to shit. I think one a little bit more than the other. Some might disagree. But they're right here and they're in it, and I don't see necessarily them showing any real weaknesses in their match up against each other. I don't know. I'm a little mush mouth to that. My 8-minute nap ain't hitting quite right now. But I mean, look, if I were to look at any weak link as far as what I thought Golden State might have going into this game would be whether or not Klay Thompson was going to be Klay Thompson from a few years ago, or the Klay Thompson that's kind of been up and down. And he's shown up somewhat in some of these games, but not really. I mean,
the last one he did not show up.
Right. So, and I'm going to talk about it. That's the thing. No. So, like, in this series, he hasn't shown up yet. I'm saying, like, he's shown over the playoffs, he's capable of showing up. He had a 30-point game, I think, once or twice in this.
Right. And I think he's due. And that's why I think he's due.
But is he? I mean, I hope there's. I'd like to see it. I think it'll happen in this series, which is why I have it going to 7, right? But I mean, I still look at it overall, and I'm looking at Boston. I'm still saying I still like that team overall. I feel good about the pick, and just where we're at with it.
All right. So my pick is still in play too. I picked Golden State in 5. So Boston only won 1.
Yeah.
Before the series started, I remember saying how the fact that the defense in the Eastern Conference Finals was completely different than what was happening in the Western Conference Finals. East was way more physical. What I've noticed is when the Celtics try to play physical with the Warriors, but then they respond, the Celtics players bitch up and then be like, ref, like, what are you doing? Like, I remember that screen that I think his name is Grant Williams set on Andrew Wiggins. And then he went up there and tried to push him. Wiggins like, get the fuck off me. And then he looks at the ref like, you see what he did? I'm like, come on. So it's like you play all that physicality shit against Miami, but then you come over here and like, yeah, playing like little bitches. But outside of that, I think Draymond has to chill the fuck out because he's had a habit of getting attacked in the first few minutes, just so that now, like, all right, I know they ain't gonna throw me out, so I'm gonna say whatever the fuck I want now.
Yeah. And
it's worked for him so far, but I think when they go to Boston, if he tries that, he'll probably get ejected.
I think so. Just from a Warriors perspective, as a Warriors fan,
shut the fuck up. You're not a fan of nobody except Steph Curry.
Gary Payton No, seriously, I think Gary Payton like being in and Andre Iguodala actually being out helped him. Gary Payton is a much better defender at this stage in his career than Iggy. Iggy's just pure veteran presence, still clutch. Obviously, he's good to have out there, but he's a little bit more so. I think he's literally on his last legs. I think Gary Payton, he's a part of probably what I would say, arguably like the Warriors' best lineup. And that's been a thing. Just trying to see which is the best. I think for Boston, it's clear who their best lineup is. I think it's Marcus Smart, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. I think you want to go either. I don't think you want to go Robert Williams. Surprisingly, you go Grant and then you go Horford. I think that's their best lineup. I think for the Warriors, it's been game to game kind of changing. It just depends on who's got it going, right? Because in the first game, Poole didn't have it going. He really didn't have it going in the second game until like that late third quarter, fourth quarter push when the game was kind of out of reach. But for the Warriors, to be honest, it's been Steph, Gary Payton the second, Wiggins, Draymond, and Otto Porter. I think that's their best lineup so far. But if Clay gets it going, if he can, if Clay's going, you switch him out for Gary Payton, right? If Jordan Poole has it going, you switch, him out for Otto Porter, right? But they have to have it going on the offensive end to kind of make up for some of their defensive deficiencies. Clay, not so much as Jordan. Jordan's much more of a sieve defensively than Clay is. But Clay isn't as stout defensively as he used to be, right? So for the Warriors, it just really depends on who has it going. Steph's been great on both sides of the ball. I think he's been defending well. He's been playing offense well. I read a stat. I think he's up there with a few other people like LeBron and I forget who else as far as like the most points for his team, and then like the disparity between the person who has the second points, which is like Andrew Wiggins. I think Steph is at like 63 points and Andrew Wiggins has like 33. That's the second leading scorer total for the Warriors. It's been a great series so far. I've enjoyed it. I think just who can, kind of like what James was saying, though, who can respond to that physicality, that defense as the series continues, it'll be the real story. Jason Tatum had a bad first game. The Celtics won. Had a good second game. Celtics lost, right? So Jaylen Brown what the Warriors did was they tweaked their defensive assignment. They stopped having Draymond against Al Horford. They put him on Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown was 3 for 17, I believe, in game 2. And that matchups make a series, right? So it just depends on, matchups and adjustments. Right now, I can see how the Warriors can continue and win the series in 6, like I predicted. But I could also see, if Boston makes certain adjustments, they could come back and get into it. So I'm really intrigued to see how the series finishes. I'm still liking what I'm seeing from Golden State because they technically should be up 2-0. You never really want to count that, but they technically should be. But hey,
Hall of Famer Al Horford showed up. Baby.
Wait, hold on. 2 things. Yeah. First off, when you mentioned Jordan Poole, I just thought about the whole thing on Twitter about them saying like, yeah, he saw the baddie sitting on the sideline and then he started going off. And then people were like, I've been looking at this tweet for 24 hours and I still can't find the baddies. All right. Outside of that, you brought up Al Horford. I was like, that man had 2 points last game. So it was like, yeah, he had a bad day and so did his wife. Her ass got cooked on Twitter. That shit was bad. That shit was bad.
Horford's a Hall of Famer. Just throwing it out there again.
Yeah, he got his ass cooked though. The family had a bad day. They were a bad unit.
Jesus Christ. As far as adjustments go, I will say overall, Steve Kerr and the Warriors know how to adjust a lot better than the Celtics have shown that they've been able to adjust. And I think a big part of that is if you look at the stats going into the third quarter after the half, the third quarter has been really Golden State's like shining period, right? Game 1, you had Boston kind of come back with that 40 points after Jaylen Brown kind of went on that run to start the quarter, and it was just nothing really they could do. Which actually, if I could take a moment, there's the reason we didn't do ASOS last weekend was I was on a bachelor party trip in the Outer Banks, and the bunch of guys were all around there in North Carolina. First night that we get there, we know it's the NBA Finals. We thought about going out. We were like, no, fuck it. It's the Outer Banks. We're just going to order pizza, stay in, do our thing. As we're going to head out to get the pizza, one of the guys we're with, one particular dude, John, who I think might have a bit of a problem as far as gambling, realizes starts reading us the lines on the game and all the different parlays and stuff that we can get. So I rent a minivan. I'm in the minivan. I'm driving to go get pizza. And he's like, all right, look, man, we get it here right now. Like each of us for $100. It's going to be a 3-point parlay, 3-part parlay. I'm like, all right, what? We got the Celtics winning by 4. We got Jaylen Brown needs 24 points, needs plus 24 points, or 24 and a half. Oh, no, sorry, 23 and a half points. And Al Horford needs 10 points. So we're like, yeah, fuck it, let's do it. But because we're in North Carolina, you can't do that kind of betting. So we're on the phone trying to get somebody in the state of Virginia to take this fucking bet for us. We got the money ready. Can be Venmo'd over. It's the whole thing. By the time we get somebody in on the line, the spread there for Jaylen Brown had changed from 23 and a half points to 24 and a half points. But we still take the fucking bet. Now, I tell you, I have not had more fun watching a basketball game than making the prediction going into the fourth quarter. I'm like, we got this shit on lock. Jaylen Brown's going to be our guy. Watch this run that they're about to go on. And sure enough, I called it. It was like an 11-0 run to start the fourth quarter. Everybody's going fucking nuts. Then they start pulling away. And we start realizing, all right, Jaylen Brown might not get fouled. Problem. And he's sitting there right at 24 fucking points. We needed the half. He never got there as they pulled their players out of seconds left. It turned what could have been, like, if we had ended up winning that bet, I think we're still in the Outer Banks betting on games because it's just a bunch of degenerates. That's what we would have done.
Yeah, but Horford didn't get the 10.
He did get the 10. He got 26. Horford, Hall of Fame, baby.
This game 1?
Game 1.
Yeah.
You talking about game 1?
Game 1.
Oh, I thought you were talking about game 2. I was like,
no, if we were there for game 2, we would have absolutely bet him. We were already back in town for game 2. But it was a hell of a thing. Sports betting is so much fun. If you don't do it, you should totally do it, especially if you have an addiction problem. It'll be an amazing thing.
All right. So listeners, do not do what Kate just said.
Why?
Please don't.
It'll be fun. If it doesn't work out, just end it.
With that said, we can kind of move on past the NBA Finals unless you guys have some other thoughts.
The entire fuck is going on with you today, bro.
It's been a minute since I've talked to a camera on Zoom. It feels like forever.
Okay. All right. So with that said, let's move on to Deshaun Watson and the NFL. And no, Deshaun Watson and the Houston Texans.
Yeah.
The Houston Texans have
and the Cleveland Browns. Throw them in there.
And the Cleveland Browns. Yeah. And the Houston Texans have been named in the defendant.
And the Atlanta Falcons who wanted them.
In the lawsuit. Okay, go for it. Have been named in the defendant in the lawsuit against him. Another, I believe, you guys correct me if I'm wrong. If I get anything wrong, please correct me. I believe another woman has come forward.
24, yeah.
The Washington Post has also completed an investigation in which they say Deshaun Watson had, I'll say, contact with 66 women.
No, at least 66 new, like, different massage therapists.
At least, well, okay, you're right. At least a minimum of 66 women in a time period of 17 months.
Yep.
As far as personal massage therapist, whatever you want to call it, and one of the stories came out about that, and as far as another woman coming forward, and basically the story plays out as, you know, this Deshaun basically petitioning for sex with this woman. He comes out, starts masturbating, and at some point he ejaculates on her. And that's the story. He also grabbed her at one point, I believe, as well. Grabbed her by the Donald Trump. And I just want to know, how do you guys feel, James?
That nasty bastard, bro. It's all nasty work, as we all said this whole time. The Texans also, like, helped this man, like, by giving him, like, NDAs to give out to people. One other note was, like, I think it was the deposition where they were grilling Deshaun on, like, so, like, how did you pick this person? Like, did you know, like, her background? Was she a professional masseuse? And he was like, that wasn't the priority. Like, what? What was the priority, sir? Like, if she looked good, she's like, yeah, you could do this. And that's all I need. nasty bastard. Then like Cleveland is just shit out of luck. They trade all the way in draft picks and their dignity for Deshaun Watson. He may not ever play it down.
He got $230 million guaranteed.
Yep. They gave him $250 million for nothing, for being a nasty bastard. And then the Texans are just as bad or worse because they helped this man do this shit. There was a spa involved where they were help facilitating all this shit too. I'm like, this is disgusting.
NDAs were involved. There,
yep.
It wasn't
that the Texans were giving him.
Yeah, and if I'm correct, it wasn't just one spa. It was like different spots or a designated spot where these things could be commissioned.
That's just disgusting.
And so what I want to say, because I want Kate out to go last, what I want to say about it. So my theory all along has been that this only came out because he requested a trade from the Texans. That's been my theory all along. I maintain that. Doesn't discount what he did. Don't get it wrong. Don't get it twisted at all. Doesn't discount what he did. Nasty man, right? But I feel like, and what it seems to be coming to light, the Texans knew about this. They've known about this. This is why it came out. And the Texans are going to, I think they're going to reap what they sow, in that they thought this was just going to be a Deshaun Watson thing. Mm-hmm. But it's not going to be just a Deshaun Watson thing. And I'm so glad. I am so glad, because there are too many times in this world, in America, in this life, that we get certain guys, but then we don't get, I'd say it's like season 2 of The Wire. You get the drug guys, right? Can't get the Greek. The Greek's the main guy bringing it in. The Greek is the facilitator.
And we're not even Greek.
Hey, and he's not even Greek. But you don't get the Greek. Mm-hmm. This time, I hope they get the Greek.
Oh, they're about to get the Greek in the other case too.
Right.
John Gruden going to trial.
Right. So in this situation, Deshaun Watson's Avon, not a good guy. But hey, he's a part of something worse. Mm-hmm. And so I can't wait to see how it plays out. And I really want to see how the NFL is going to deal with, because somebody tweeted about how, Calvin Ridley, $1,500 bet on fantasy.
Oh, yeah.
Spend it for a year. Somebody said, so that means Deshaun's got to get 2 years, right? Right? The NFL is doing their own investigation. I get it. I understand that Deshaun won't be charged criminally, but with all the information that's coming out,
I think discovery's due on June 10th, right?
I'm not sure. Maybe you might be right. You might be right on that. But yeah, so with all the information that's coming out, it's going to be damning to see the NFL's response. I just really don't know how I don't know how Deshaun plays under all of this, unless like something comes out where it's like, oh, well, no, he's completely innocent, some random event or like whatever. He's completely innocent, didn't do anything, blah, blah, blah. Something would have to happen I just feel like for him to get away from not being able to play football again. Because I just don't see it right now. I don't see it.
Yeah. And it's like at least 66 people. Like that's crazy.
That's a big number. That is a big number.
It's like, how many massage therapists do you need?
I was talking about that with a friend. I was like, nah.
Yeah. It's like, it's like, yeah, I had like 3 or 4 in my whole career, and this man got 66.
My turn. Nothing you guys said was wrong. Deshaun clearly has an issue, and that's to say it lightly. The Browns paying this man and making sure the contract was weaselly enough to make sure he gets guaranteed money regardless of whatever. Great job, Browns. Great job treating Baker Mayfield and then getting this guy. Fantastic. And all the other teams who were in line to go try to get him. I think Keem hit the nail on the head as far as the Houston Texans, while the story itself, I think, initially came out. I do want to kind of pivot in a different direction on this, just a little bit. I've been a little afraid to do this, but fuck it. Let's go. Legalize sex work. I'm going to say that And the reason I'm going to say that is that I don't believe that anyone is of the idea that Deshaun Watson was actually looking for any sort of masseuse, therapeutic anything, other than he gets his jollies on jerking off or being jerked off by a bunch of women that aren't the girls from the whatever. And I think that when you're in that world, like any of you guys can pull up your phones right now and pull up rubmaps.com. It's the Yelp for what, sir?
Reddit. No, I'm so with you. I'm so with Reddit, adult.com. You can find the
adult
places.
Look, any of these places.
How fucking Robert Kraft and Jerry Jones know the places to go, but he doesn't. But go ahead. You're
right. So there's that aspect of it, right? Like there's
them shits.
God damn you fucking Mormon.
Yeah, I was like this.
Look, there are alternatives to Deshaun, but there are places you can go to try to get this done. Where the thing is that you bring. I feel bad for the women. I feel terrible for the women that had to experience this that weren't looking to do anything like this. Now, I'm also going to say that of the 66, I'm sure some of them were looking to do something like this. But it's one of those things where, look, the same way if you hire an escort or anything, one of the states that it's not legal, you have to beat around the bush and you can't say what you actually want out of fear that there's going to be somebody that has a text message or has this or has that could say that you did something illegal. When you say, hey, I'm meeting up for a massage, and whatever happens after the massage is just between two consenting adults, you've hit that legal loophole. And I think what you've also done, because you can't speak clearly about what it is you want, create these unsafe situations, especially when you got a guy who's as forceful as it seems Deshaun is as far as getting this thing done. Or what you see a lot of dudes are, which is once your dick is out, or there ain't nothing stopping them at that point, which just speaks to prevalency and all kinds of terrible shit in the male community and toxic masculinity. But look, I can't look at this and not say how terrible I feel for the women that thought that they were, whether it be on Instagram that they were doing their business or somewhere else, that thought that they were doing something legitimate and had this guy so hell-bent on doing this aspect of it. I also know a lot of guys that believe that every massage ends in a happy ending. I also know plenty of sex workers and people that have worked in massage parlors that have given happy endings. And there's an entire code to the way that this works. And it seems like Deshaun is well versed in it. Not getting dressed when you lay on the table. When they ask you for a towel, oh no, I'm not, it's not needed. But you never really have to say it. Why don't you say it? Because then it makes it illegal. So that's the thing. We've got to create these environments where if people actually do want to exchange services for this, that we can do it under a safe environment, under real legit paperwork, under making sure that everybody, even if we're looking at it from an NDA standpoint, that everybody's protected after it happens. But there's no fucking excuse for Deshaun doing this predatorily at this point. And for these organizations, because they want football is king and money's king, Jed, I'd be the first to tell you, when the shit first hit the fan as far as any of this, I was still in the boat as far as Washington get it. I knew Washington couldn't get it because of what was happening in Congress with Washington. But I think everybody's got to kind of check themselves on where it is they thought about Deshaun or what it is they thought about this story. I think there's a lot more nuance to this story than we're all really getting to. And I think it's extremely complicated. But even with those things being true, Deshaun shouldn't have been what he's doing. And there were people that were actually hurt by it. And I'm not going to parse through who I think is real and who's not, who I think might be doing it for money or who might not be. Doesn't matter. There's not just smoke, there's fire and a fuck ton of it. And Rusty Harden, look, man, happy endings do not come included with massages. As someone who goes, well, actually, my girlfriend has made it a point to tell me I'm not allowed to go to Asian massage parlors anymore. But I'll tell you right now, $40 for a massage, and all you got to do is tell them no when it comes to touching your penis. Pretty good deal. They got really tiny hands and they walk in your back. It's great. It's just, and usually they are licensed in the countries that they come from, and then they come over here and they do the whole thing. It's a really, really rough story that doesn't make anybody look quite good.
That's my thing too, because I'm 1,000% with you, K-Dot. It's just the fact that with all that money, I've seen women on Twitter, videos on Twitter of women offering the kind of massage that he wants.
Yeah.
Videos of them showing themselves doing it.
which makes it feel predatory, right? Like he can only get off if it's a woman that's not necessarily quite. Like I think
unknowingly.
He's got, so like the thing is he could get his jollies off. Once again, rub maps. Just go there. It's the Yelp for happy endings. It's an amazing site if you're into it. The aspect of he gets off on either convincing or forcing women to do this is what it seems like, because there are so many alternatives. And the thing is that I think that that's probably what's happening is that there is a splicing between places that it was, thus the NDAs, maybe for some of these places that legitimately do this, compared to the ones where he like, I'm not getting off the way I want to with that. I need to have somebody that doesn't quite know. And that I think that's what we're seeing probably. And is the combination of the two. And it's just, no, brother, you can't do that.
And even within that, all you got to do, get you a good sex worker who like play the role, baby. Play the role, sweetheart. You don't know what I'm going to do. Give me a good little massage, and whatever I do, just let me do it. Just let me do it. But I know that probably takes out some of the fun for him, and that's sad.
Last part that I got. Another angle from this, based on why the Browns also look still bad again.
From below.
Wow.
Joking.
Y'all watched the Browns practice tapes, right?
No.
Like, Deshaun Watson's been looking terrible, like on the field. So it's like, if you pay that man all that money and now he's shit and gave up all the draft picks,
it feels like a Browns move. It feels like a Browns move.
No, that feels like a Jaguars move.
No, Jaguars ain't been around long enough. I'm saying, like, the Browns to me is like, you finally had the guy in Baker Mayfield who was willing to put his body on the line for you. He helped change around the franchise. Regardless how you feel about it, that's just the point. You had all this there. You have a talented ass team. It's always going to be in the conversation as long as you keep working at it. You get rid of all of that to bring in this dude, pay him all the money in the world that you can't get out of.
Mm-hmm.
For him to fuck you over like this while Baker Mayfield's sitting around in the stadium that is his home, according to those commercials, which I think are documented.
People are still coming out.
It's a mess. It's a mess. It feels like something Washington would have done. And I'm glad
Speaking of that, great segue. Right. Speaking of paying guys to say stupid shit. We want to focus. We want to pivot a little bit to Jack Del Rio real quick. And Kate, I'm definitely going to let you start first on this one.
Cool.
Jack Del Rio has some issues with the way we are talking about the insurrection on January 6th that happened at the Capitol. He has some issues with why we are talking about that and not the looting and the rioting that was happening the year before in 2020. Has some issues with it, because he called, though he's apologized for this, in a well-written PR statement that wasn't written by him. Oops, never mind. I don't know.
It was in quotes.
I can't say it. That's not a fact.
It was in quotes.
Somebody wrote it.
It was in quotes.
I can't say that.
He put out
that he wrote that. He wrote that. And so that he basically just, says, but he apologized for calling he compared the insurrection to a dust up, in comparison to the burning of, businesses and all that stuff. And he says he's open to having that conversation, because he's proud to be an American, likes being an American. And
proud to be an American,
loves America. And Kate, I just want your thoughts on Jack Del Rio, who I think he's your defensive coordinator.
That is correct.
Okay, he's the defensive coordinator for the Washington Commanders. And so just give us your thoughts on that.
Shortly, like the short version, if you just want to skip over this, fuck Jack Del Rio. I hope our defense is top 3. like Eric, here's what it comes. None of these statements for anybody that knows anything about Jack Del Rio surprise them at all, right? It doesn't surprise me that I was trying to pull up the exact tweet that he did earlier. Because I wanted to read it verbatim as far as what it is he said.
All right, let me talk about Jack, and then you can come back.
No, don't you know? No, you're not doing that. So the basically what it comes down to is that he was saying that, yeah, like Keem said, he didn't understand why we were still. This is all on the heels of the January 6th committee investigation. There's a new thing that's coming through the Congress, everything that they're looking into what exactly happened in the insurrection on January 6th. And what you can tell Jack Del Rio does, is watch a lot of Fox News and Newsmax, because he's basically regurgitating every single talking point that any one of those dumb fucking talking heads say every single day, which just means you can see what kind of fucking bubble he's in. And the thing is that when pressed about it in his tweet, he said he was just asking a question. In the same vein, you hear like Tucker Carlson ask, "I'm just asking a question," right? Or those whataboutism or bullshit. Because in the tweet that doesn't get mentioned is that a day ago, somebody tweeted, "Black people begging agents of the state to stop executing them versus white men trying to overthrow the results of a democratic election and violently assaulting cops." That's the difference that he was asking the question about, that he said he wanted a conversation. His response to it was, yeah, sure, Pinocchio knows. You can see how disingenuous he is when he says that he wants to have a conversation. There's no conversation to be had. He has his thoughts, and his thoughts are, Negro, shut the fuck up. And I'm sorry, but if I'm in a locker room with that dude, we got to square this. Like, look, you ain't got to like me. You ain't got to like me. But what you ain't going to do is you ain't going to try to do this bullshit, not try to have a current conversation, or not come correct and be honest about what you're fucking feeling. Because that's the difference, Jack. The difference is, here's a difference for you, Jack. What if those people that showed up January 6th were black? You want to talk about that difference? He ain't ready for that conversation. Because he doesn't want to have a conversation. He wants to regurgitate the same talking points to all these fucking dumbasses on Fox News or Newsmax, or one of these talking heads you see on conservative radio every fucking day. Look through his Twitter page. It's not but that's D'Souza fucking conspiracy videos and fucking retweets. Motherfuckers retweeting Thomas Sowell to try to make their goddamn points. But you can tell he's not educated about any of it when he says he wants to have a real conversation. I'd like to know, what books have you read? Jack, have you read the autobiography of Malcolm X? No. Have you read the new Jim Crow? No. Have you read any Coates? No, probably not. You know why? Because you're not fucking interested in the conversation at all. This is just a continuation of what he felt about when people were kneeling for the anthem with Colin Kaepernick. He said fucked up shit back then too. At the end of the day, here's what I'm not going to do. Jack, you can say whatever the fuck it is you want to say. I'm going to keep this same energy. The same way I'd say for anybody else, you can say whatever it is you want to say. What I will say also to that is that you have a job in which I now have to look at you. You are in charge of a ton of men. You're the dude that they look to as far as the guy that's going to determine whether or not they get playing time, what kind of scheme they're being ran in. You probably have a lot to say as far as what players get kept and not kept. And if you're harboring these sort of sentiments about this situation, having disingenuous conversations, then I'm wondering, where else do these thoughts bleed into? And sir, you just opened yourself up to a can of worms of being under complete fucking utter scrutiny of any decision you make, showing any sort of merits of that bullshit seeping in. And unless you got a top 3 defense, sir, unless everybody's fucking happy in that scheme, get the fuck out. Because then what you did say has fucking consequences now, bud.
I would just like to add before James goes, because I was going to let K-Dot speak for me on this. He's been a part of all of our teams. he was the linebacker.
Oh, that's where I was going.
For the Ravens, when we won the Super Bowl in 2000, he was obviously the head coach of the Raiders for 2015 to 2017. And now he's the coordinator for Washington. And that's all I had.
Okay. So I used to love Jack Del Rio, right? Before you get to know him. So in 2017, we played Washington in Washington. I was at that game. This is the week after Trump called all the NFL players that are kneeling sons of bitches, right? You remember there was protests around the league, right?
Yep.
So I was at this game and I saw what happened where I forgot, it was one player standing. Of course, Jack Del Rio is the head coach. Our offensive line was called at that time. So all the black players were sitting down. Of course, we got destroyed. And they were like, yeah, there was a dust up in the locker room before the game. People were mad at Carr or whoever else about standing. And then Jack Del Rio got fired the last game as he was walking off the field. And then Mark Davis made him go into the press conference and announce to the world that he got fired, which I still think is hilarious now. Jack Del Rio is a piece of shit. Like, we all know it. We see his tweets. And, I mean, that's really it.
I had something to say. I know it's going to be controversial as shit. I actually got into a screaming. I'm just getting my voice back from all the screaming I did in the basketball party.
You are people?
Oh, yeah, fuck yeah. I am who I am, sir. The look, and actually, I legit right now have an application in to be a host of the NPR show Code Switch. And I just got word back a couple days ago. So I need to be careful what I say because I know people are listening now. All white people are problematic. To what degree they're problematic is kind of up to them. I kind of always prefer knowing where white people stand with me, just because I ain't got to worry about like some underhanded bullshit, I guess, to some degree. And at least with Jack, I kind of know where he stands in that sense, even if he's about that bullshit. Like, the thing is, I'll know Jack don't know shit about shit, right? Because I know that what he's saying is just the thoughts of an ignorant person. It's literally just an uninformed human being that's not really want to have any sort of legit conversation with.
Willfully ignorant.
Willfully ignorant, right? Which is frustrating as shit, right?
Yeah.
Especially when you want things to change.
Mm-hmm.
It hurts me that he's a voter. It's like, I guess to that degree, but I mean, Jack is who he is, and he's problematic as fuck. And look, I'm not going to be able to ever get through to him. You can see this is how interested he is in having a conversation about these topics. I'm not being able to get to him. So unless some other white people want to be less problematic and try to help their other problematic brother in this sort of thing, all right, whatever. But fuck this dude. I mean, all I hope is that he coaches the fucking defense and that the guys don't lose complete respect for him. Because at the end of here's what I'll also say as far as that, because I tried to keep it away from the team aspect, right? Because like you said, he coached for all of us at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ron Rivera today got really, 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 really angry at practice. And the reason he got angry at practice is Jeremy Reeves, our safety, lit up De'Ami Brown. Lit him the fuck up. He was knocked out, like not knocked out cold, but you could tell he was fucking dazed, might have been concussed, whatever. And Ron called a team huddle and got into everybody's ass, right? Ron has also said repeatedly how much that we're trying to turn a new chapter in the book of this franchise, in the book of this team, right? That like getting away from the name, the Redskins name, getting away from all the legacy as far as racism and everything you can look at when it comes to this organization. Looking at what's happening as far as the sexual harassment scandal and war. Looking at just Dan Snyder being his problematic ass self. And I look to Ron as being that guy who's like the face of that change. And I'll say, Ron, unless you address this in a real, sincere, and honest way, you're kind of just about the same bullshit. And like, you got that angry about the Jeremy Reeves thing, which I get, but you're going to let your defensive coordinator, one of the faces of the franchise in a sense, speak that way, like unchecked. Now, I know that's why he released the statement that he did. In the statement right here, I made comments earlier today in referencing the attack that took place in the United States Capitol on January 6, 2021. Referencing that situation as a dust-up was irresponsible and negligent, and I'm sorry. I stand by my comments condemning violence in communities across the country. Blah, blah, blah. Somebody came to him and said, Jack, you got to do something about this because you're pissing people off. So what Jack did was said, I apologize to all the white people I might have offended. That's what that was. I apologize for all the things that might have offended the white people, but you Negroes, I doubled down. That's what it was. And that's what it. Ron, it's up to you, brother. What do you want this to be? I know that you said you're going to handle this behind the scenes. Do it for real, man. For real. Like, when is somebody actually going to school this asshole on what the fuck is going on?
At what point do they fire Jack Del Rio?
I don't fire him for anything he says, honestly, unless he's outright just being. I got to see what he's doing.
If what he says negatively affects the team, and the players on the team, so
he's gone. I mean, Ron said the same thing. Jack said the same thing today. They asked Jack Del Rio. They asked Del Rio if what you said offended players on the team. He said, "Look, any of them can come and talk to me whenever they want to. So far, nobody's been offended because nobody's talked to me about anything. I get it, but if the players are actually offended, they should speak up. They should.
They're not going to do that.
I get it, but the bottom line is they need to. Like, otherwise, what are you firing him for?
You know why? You know why I don't think they would? Because they got to protect their mental and their chickens.
If I'm protecting my mental, I gotta let you know how I feel.
Well, look, I could only see the star players on the defense coming to him and saying anything.
They have star players. I'm just playing.
Like a Chase Young or something like that. Like if Chase Young,
what 1 year make you start? I don't know. He's Jimmy Butler. I'm just kidding. That was too easy.
But you get what I'm saying. Like if you're not 100% sure about making the team, you're not gonna like create some shit with the person that can make the decision as to whether you stay or go.
Yeah.
So,
it's a long quote, but I feel like is this the last topic we got?
No, we got two NBA topics, but they'll be quicker.
Brian Mitchell, arguably the greatest return man in the history of the league. I know people will say Dante Hall or Devin Hester were more dynamic, but Brian Mitchell did it for a very, very long time. Makes it really, really good. He addressed Ron Rivera as far as the Jack Del Rio thing. Listen, I see a lot of stuff going on with this team right now. And this is where I'm about to go to hell off. I get so sick of it. We have a coach who sit up here and we try to put on a pedestal as disciplinarian. And you got a damn defense coordinator who constantly pokes the goddamn bear. Okay. You got an undisciplined D coordinator, but you want your football team to be disciplined. And I'm supposed to give a damn about somebody out here in practice, t-shirt and pants, and they had a collision. I'm supposed to care about that stuff. Hell to that. I care about him, Ron Rivera, getting his damn D-coordinated control before somebody beats his ass up. That's what I care about. I care about somebody stopping this man from constantly poking his little racial bear with what he's doing. That's what I care about. I don't care how livid he is. He should be livid about the man who's sitting here constantly going against what he presents himself as. And he does it over and over and over again, and never does he address it. That's what I care about. So we got to understand one thing. The football thing is cool, but there's a lot of stuff that's going on with that football team that is not cool. And we have Jack Del Rio who constantly feels I could just go out and say whatever the hell I want to say. Why? Because the coach never says anything to him. You get all these issues going on with the Washington Commanders right now, and he's constantly trying to make waves because of stupidity. And you wonder why the team wasn't disciplined last year? Because your damn leader that's leading your defense is not disciplined. I give a damn about that. B. Mitch, drop mic.
True. And is Jack Del Rio that fucking good to warrant?
Not at the beginning of last year. Tell you that right now. And we were legitimately undisciplined. That's what it was.
Like, is he that good to keep him around at this point?
Nah, I mean, he hasn't proved it.
Right.
Is it's probably not worth the headache at this point.
So
that's what onus is on Ron.
They'll rebound. They'll rebound.
But I'll tell you this. He destroyed our team. Like he destroyed the chemistry in our locker room. And I feel like he's doing the same shit for y'all. Y'all just it hasn't happened yet.
We'll see how it all shakes out. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm putting a lot on Ron. This year there's no excuses this year. Y'all got everything you said you wanted. Everything you said you wanted, you got this year. Y'all made all the decisions.
Carson.
There's no excuses this year, period, for any of them. That's just my thought.
Yeah.
All right. So I want to segue to our next topic, which this is my K-Dot corner. But there's a debate on First Take, I believe. I don't remember who Stephen A was talking to. I just remember that Kevin Durant responded to it. But he was talking about how like Michael Jordan ruined the game of basketball.
I think it was JJ Redick.
I think it was JJ Redick. He was talking about how Michael Jordan ruined the game of basketball, and like a lot of people like push back, like, "Oh, how could you say that?" There's a lot of like, Michael Jordan, the greatest player of all time. But the point Stephen A was trying to make, which I agree with, was you look at the influence of each of their eras, right? So when Magic and Bird were playing, we're talking about until most recently, the highest scoring era of NBA basketball. And that was a symptom of more team basketball. It was more fast paced. It was more passes, more team oriented. They were playing on a fast break a lot. That's why it was so high scoring. Like, like you think about, like, if you're a fan like I am, like when you maybe check an NBA Classics game, you might watch a finals game and see like a final score be 76-67 if it was in 2005 or 2004, some shit like that. You go back, you can watch regular season games from 1986. You might see Alex English going off in the Denver Nuggets scoring 142 in a fucking regulation game, not overtime, 142. And so what Stephen A meant by that, I agree with. Did Michael Jordan ruin the game of basketball? No, but the difference in eras, Magic and Bird's era, great era, team oriented, much better as far as high scoring basketball, like quality basketball. Michael Jordan's era was different. They see Michael Jordan come in. Oh, we all ISO now. It's all ISO and post-ups. It's ISO and post-ups. And then, we've gotten into more of the analytics era now. And thanks in part to, I'd say, D'Antoni, Brun, Steph, guys like that have influenced the current era that we're in terms of knowing that, post-ups aren't necessarily a high-quality shot, right? Knowing that having two fucking post players down in the paint fucks up your spacing, right? And that's why you were getting the 88-86 finals, the 70-75 final scores that we were getting. So I don't think did Michael Jordan ruin the game of basketball? No, but his influence on the era that he had was it didn't do good for basketball. Now, granted, this is why I say I don't necessarily fully agree with what Stephen A said. You wanted to see Michael Jordan play. You wanted to see Michael Jordan play. Nobody gives a shit about anything else. You want to see Michael Jordan play. And he was putting up 30 plus a game. So who gives a shit if all the other team sucks, if Michael Jordan's going to give you 32, you want to see that. And that's why I think, and that's also why people say, like, if Michael Jordan played in this era, he'd average 40, which I used to think that's a stretch, but he did average 38 a game. And because he bridged those eras, right? Because he played a little bit in that era, and that's one of those seasons where he averaged 38 a game. It was in that before we went to a more isolation, post-up heavy era, right? And so he could average 40 in this era. I don't know, but
he'd be like Anthony Edwards.
He'd
be like Anthony Edwards.
What do you mean?
Never mind. They look exactly alike.
Oh, they do look alike. Yeah. But yeah, so that's just what I thought about it. Do you guys have thoughts?
I think the league isn't usually things period in history are cyclical, or they go through waves.
Everything comes right back around.
Right. So the NBA overall, I just don't think is old enough for us to really contextualize what's happening as far as the different eras. Look, one can say, yes, Michael ruined a certain aspect of team basketball in playing that entire 90s to early 2000s ISO game that we're all used to. It was our era of watching basketball. Iverson doing everything by himself. Kobe at one point trying to do everything by himself. Everybody had their stars. It became the era of the star, which is why you have a lot of fans like Keem who aren't fans of actual teams as much as they're fans of fucking players, right? So
that's not true.
Who's your team?
Warriors.
Right. So, yeah. Okay. Regardless,
playing in San Francisco.
Regardless, overall, most motherfuckers are fans of certain players, and we all have it. Like even though I'm a fan of the Wizards, I had my favorite NBA players growing up, right? And it was the dudes that you wanted to see play, the dudes that you circled the. But even before that, like Wilt Chamberlain's there. He was the only guy playing on the team that could beat everybody else. You feed him the rock, right? So it's like, it just depends on what the talent level's like. It depends on what's going on. But if you didn't have that era of MJ playing the way he did, I don't know if the NBA exists to the level at which it's at right now at all, right? Like if Jordan's not the star and playing the ISO ball that he is, or we talk about basketball maybe not as bad as the MLB, but maybe around that, because you look at what those team basketball, that era, what we want all teams to look like the Celtics. Like, nobody want to be that.
All right, so MJ brought money back to the league. Or brought
well,
money
that
to
started
the
with
league.
Bird and Magic, but yeah.
But like you get what I'm saying. Like when what was it? Didn't like the dream team was what 1992 in Barcelona?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's where the money started to come in. Then you get all these TV deals. Then you get all like the valuation of teams go up like exponentially. Then you got all these big ass contracts. And then you got players on commercials and shit now. Like, I think it kind of did start with Jordan, really. Or it blew up with Jordan. I can't say it started. It blew up. Right. So, like, how is that bad for basketball when most of the damn money came in? Like, nobody else had shoes.
Well, like, they had yeah. I know what you're saying.
But you see what I'm saying? So, like, Jordan's not bad for basketball.
But I mean, that's the thing is like I think everybody has their era, right? I don't like jacking up threes. I fucking hate this shit. But it's not the basketball I'm used to. I'm not the basketball I'm used to growing up, and I think that's what all of us have.
But it's not. But like the analytics era that Keem brought up now, like it's not efficient. Like how to like that's what Jason Kidd said. Like shit, we didn't even have 3-point shooters, but he's like, look, if they're shooting twos and we're shooting threes, it's good for us. And we got to the Western Conference Finals with a team that can't really shoot right now. Like, yeah, we hit all these damn threes, but that's
the thing, you're starting to see kind of change, right? Like everything's cyclical. Like the big three era feels like it was the last 15 fucking years, and that's dying, right? So it's like things happen.
Yep, exactly.
What Dodo build said. Your own team, bitch era.
Yeah, that's what Dodo said.
Until something else happens,
shit ain't working no more.
Until something else happens, and somebody has success with it, all the other teams try to steal it.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, like Giannis.
I mean, I don't think you can just create another Giannis though.
No,
I think my take is I think we'll go back to more players staying with teams long term. Mm-hmm. I think like, that era is back. I think you'll see Giannis stay. I think D Book will stay. I don't think Tatum and Brown are going anywhere. I think
I can see one of them leaving.
I think Ja's gonna stay. I think I won't say I don't know about LaMelo. I wouldn't stay here, but
I can see Ja leaving.
I don't see Ja leaving.
No, I think Ja's going to make it a point to stay. Same thing with Edwards in Minnesota.
But I can see it happening.
But see, this is the thing. You're talking about a generation's answer to the previous generation.
Yes,
we're not fucking no. Fuck that. I'm beating that guy and that guy and that guy and that guy, and it feels like we're back to this point, which is cool with me.
And I think Giannis will be the focal point for the guy who 100%. Started there.
100%.
Yeah, because right after he signed the deal, he won the chip.
Boom.
I mean, before that, it was Dame, but he just didn't win.
And I think I mentioned
he's still staying.
I mentioned that on the pod when it was happening, how big a fucking deal Giannis staying in Milwaukee was.
Oh yeah, I was pissed off.
Remember?
Because the rumors were that he was coming to Dallas. The team of Luka.
Yeah, y'all getting fucking scared. Rudy Gobert.
No, we're not. We're not even getting him. Like we never get anybody.
Okay,
but I heard that's because everybody hates Rick Carlisle.
To introduce your final thoughts.
Oh,
it's final thought time.
Yeah,
who's first?
James.
Okay. Tomorrow is Bridgerton Ball Day. So, by the time you see this episode, it would have already happened, and Kate, I would have pictures. So.
Oh, you gonna post them at the end of the episode?
No, this fucker is probably gonna post in the beginning, like to make sure everybody sees it.
No, you gotta tease it. You gotta tease it at the beginning, and like
I think it's its own episode. I'll do an upload.
Right, you know what? Yeah.
James and Bridgerton.
Hey, guess what? I better see that fucking Messi video come out first.
That Messi's been uploaded. All it needs to do is go live.
Well, make it go live, fucker.
Okay. I just need to see the Bridgerton shit.
That's all I need.
It almost went live 2 weeks ago. You remember I offered it because we weren't doing an episode.
I know, but shit happens.
I don't give a fuck. I'm watching Messi, whose name I can't pronounce, do shit.
You just pronounced it.
I can't pronounce his first name.
Leo.
I'll go second.
Leo?
Lionel.
Like, just say
he's
Leo.
An old black man, Lionel.
He do got
Lionel Messi.
He does
just say Leo.
Name.
Lionel.
Say Leo, man. Just say Leo.
Lionel owe me money.
Oh, and as of Friday, the World Cup was supposed to start on Friday, but since FIFA is corrupt and they gave the money, or they took money from Qatar, now the World Cup starts in fucking November.
Can we call it Qatar again?
Damn, that's crazy.
I was calling it Qatar, but then like the people I work with who actually worked in Qatar was like, no.
Keep saying it one more time, then he's forced to move on.
Qatar.
No, that's crazy.
So my final thought is gonna be on Black Adam. The new trailer came out, and
it's a new trailer.
It's
this movie's gonna be shit.
It's a good trailer. I want it more. I feel like I'm not gonna get the more that I want from Dwayne Johnson's Black Adam, but I also think it'll be a little bit different than what I see in Jungle Cruise and fucking Jumanji and Red Notice, and like it'll be a little bit different than that. But the trailer looks great. Dr. Fate, Pierce Brosnan, 007 as Dr. Fate looks amazing, and the way they're conveying his powers through film looks. I want to go. I want to say it's better than Doctor Strange, but I won't go that far yet. But I really liked how it looked in the trailer, so I'm intrigued to see how they do it moving forward. I would love to see Dr. Fate get his own film, just from a fucking nerd perspective. I always liked Dr. Fate growing up. He's just like cool suit, dope powers. Fuck Doctor Strange. Give me Dr. Fate. I think he do especially with Pierce Brosnan there. I think it'd be a great fucking movie. But the trailer looks good. The Justice Society of America looks good. They got Aldous Hodge as Hawkman. I think that's cool. They got Adam Smasher in there. It just looks really good, man. So comes out in October. I'm excited for it.
I'm watching the trailer right now. Look, I think this is the role The Rock was born to play, or Dwayne was born to play. And I need them to not make it corny.
Yes.
And I feel like the only other person I could say that about as far as we could say that as far as Iron Man and Robert Downey Jr., right? But that was sort of, it worked out. And plus his character is a little different than the comic version. He becomes his own thing, right?
Yeah.
But I think Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool is another thing. It's like boom. But he's such a part of the creative process of creating that. And Ryan is a creative dude that you can feel his voice there through it. I don't know if this is going to be it. I'm rooting for it, but you can't make it serious Shazam and expect it to work. I don't know. I hope it works out. I really do. My final thought is going to be on Denver Broncos, now owned by fucking Walmart. Look, guys, I know that there's not an easy way to legally say the next owner has to be black, but god damn it, y'all got to try a little bit better than to give the fucking team to the Waltons. Are you at it? What the fuck is that? Hey, how about we make sure that your offensive staff need one more minority, but let's give the fucking football franchise, which just for also a record amount of money. This just like gave Dan Snyder another $800 to $900 million of valuation on the fucking team just because of the way it's sold. You sold it to the fucking Walmart? What? Do better. Just do better. Whether or not we need expansion teams or anything to just get minority ownership, I don't fucking know. But it needs to fucking happen. NFL, you ain't about shit until it fucking happens. Walmart?
Ain't shit about just money.
I know.
About money.
So frustrating.
Great episode, guys.
What's
all
up?
right. Bye. Bye, bitches.
This bye? I thought we were